Oh. All right, welcome back. We've got a little bit more to talk about with bug optics. As you saw from the thumbnail, I want to talk about bug optics versus CCP optics and how I think those are different and how I think they could both contribute to pushing the sport further on down the road towards a more carry gun size division. I shot this whole video and I was because Nick Brody and I were talking about it and how we thought or why we thought bug optics was a better way to go than CCP optics. And so I thought, I thought that's interesting because a lot of people have been contacting me saying like, hey, I'm on board with bug optics, but I'm interested in the CCP optics too. And I totally get that. I'm not saying that like, no, you must be on board with bug optics and not CCP. Like I'm all on the dot train. So like I'm cool with either. I think that one has a little bit more potential to give us what we want as far as a carry gun division. And I'm going to talk about that in the other half of the video that I've already filmed, and I'll get into that in a minute. But the reason I reshot this intro is because Paul G and Anthony Vega, they dropped their video, or it became visible for non-members today about CCP optics and kind of their thoughts on it. And for the most part, I agree with them 100%. I think that we have one small portion of disagreement that I'll talk about. And it's, like I said, but overall, like, I think that their video was great. And so the only other thing that I wanted to add for that I didn't say in the other video was that up here in Washington, we're running bug optics in like one of three ways. And I'm kind of letting people, like, if you want to sign up for bug optics and you want to run it any one of these three ways, and we'll leave it all in one division, that's fine, because we're just kind of beta testing this to see how it goes. It's not like we're taking it so seriously. Nobody's winning bug optics nationals in Washington State, shooting a local with Joe Biden. So that's kind of what we're doing is you can shoot it with 6 rounds in every magazine, like traditional bug. Like I said, that's what I'm doing. You can shoot it with 10 rounds in every magazine, 11 to start, like CO, or excuse me, what I think is the most interesting, kind of hearkening back to what bug or where bug came from, 6 rounds with a flush fit magazine. So the gun must fit in the box with the smallest magazine inserted. That would be your bug gun. And then you may load to a extended magazine that can hold up to 15 rounds. So in an 18 round course of fire, you're pretty much just going to do one reload like everybody else, but it's going to come at a different place at a different time, and it's a little bit different to work with than just 11 and 10, or 10 and 10 if you're reloading with one in the chamber. So it's more interesting that way, and I think it kind of mirrors the way people carry these guns. Like me personally, like if I'm going to carry a spare magazine, I don't all the time, but when I do, it's going to be a big stick. If I've got a 365 with me, I've got a flush fit 12 round magazine in it, and the bigger 17 or 15 round magazines, should I need that. I get it that like it's not, even the flush fit magazine holds more than that, but like I like the idea of the reload being a little different in a different place, or being a bit more of a challenge than just having 10 rounds. So that's kind of how we're running it up here. And that's the way the last one, the 6 and 15, I think is the most interesting way to do that. But yeah, so anyway, check out the rest of the stages. I shot Buggo, got a few people to do it. If you've seen the Instagram, like you know what happened with that. But yeah, we'll come back after the stages with a little bit more about why I think CCP and Buggo are a little bit, should be differentiated. And yeah, check it out.
They were.
Ah!
Look at that sidestep. Woo. Almost looked quick there for a second.
All right, so those are the stages. So I don't know if everyone has seen. So I post the stages. Usually, like I have an Instagram account, DZ214 or Down0214 on Instagram, and I post the stages there. But in an effort to get more people to come shoot bug optics with me, at least in this area. If you want to come up here from other areas, this is extended to you too. But if you want to come shoot bug optics with me, if you shoot bug optics and you beat me, you get to choose the song that plays as I put those stages up. So on Instagram, Mark, my buddy Mark, he shot bug optics. He beat me. He got to choose a song, and he chose Rick Astley, "Never Gonna Give You Up," which is a fucking great song. So I don't think I'm supposed to swear, but whatever. Anyway, so I don't know. I haven't put the edited the video together yet, and I'm not very good at editing videos together. So I don't know if I'm able to get the music onto this and then transition into me talking. So if that song's playing during the stages, then I figured it out. If it's not, then I didn't figure it out. More than likely, I won't figure it out because it's really hard when you don't know anything about making videos. So anyway, what I want to talk about today is CCP optics. Not because I think that it's a bad idea or I'm trying to not to convince you not to take that up, but because I think that the people who want bug optics and the people who want CCP optics essentially want the same things. And most people who have expressed interest in this have expressed that they want a place to shoot their carry guns. Like a more practical division that's absent some of the allowances that are allowed in the other divisions, mostly in like size and weight, which is why I think CCP optics won't give us much of a carry dot division. Like I said, I think people think like, oh, if CCP got dots, then I could take my macro out, or I could take my Glock 48 out, which is what I carry every day, and shoot it with optics and have a place to do that, and that will be great. And that would give us a place to do that in a way. But the problem that I see with that is that you're still shooting an optimal gun in a suboptimal division, because I don't think that CCP optics is going to be dominated by macros and Glock 48s. I think it's going to be dominated by this. This is a 2311 from OA Defense. It's a 4 1/4 inch barrel, 15 round magazine, and unlike my 320 compact that I shot CCP with every year that I did it, you can put the Legion base pads on these, or any aftermarket base pad, and it will fit in the box. So literally the only difference between my CO gun and this CCP-O gun is this magwell. And the difference between this magwell and the bigger magwell is just over 1/4 of an inch. So you've got 1/4 of an inch longer grip, and 3/4 of an inch longer barrel length and slide length. Like it's the same thing to me. For people who say, because I've had some people say like, well, it's more difficult to manipulate the magazines and get the magazines into a smaller grip. It's 1/4 of an inch difference. Like I just don't see that great of a difference between those things. And like I said before in another video, like these, whatever rules we make for a new bug optics division, not a new division or adding optics to another division, those rules are going to be taken to the limits of their logic. Like I said before, like it's going to happen. I'm going to do it. Other people are going to do it. It's just going to happen. And so if we do CCP optics, what you want is, the AXG Legion or the macro or a Glock 48, but this is what you get. You get CO again. So I'm just a little leery of that. And I think that ultimately the guys who want CCP-O and the guys who want Bug-O want the same thing. We want a space for commonly carried micro compacts to compete. And most of the conversations that I've had with CCP-O guys or guys that are saying that that's what they want, they're not saying I want a place to shoot my 4 1/4 inch 1911. They're saying I want a place to shoot my carry gun. And I'm not saying that like you can't carry this and shoot this, but this already fits into CO in my opinion. That is a great circumstance where I would say it's perfectly acceptable to say no, like that's already, we've already have a division for that. Let's move on to something else. So I think that CCP-O and Bug-O want the same thing. Essentially, we're just coming at it from two different angles. Like CCP CEO guys are saying, let's do this, and maybe with a slightly smaller box or maybe slightly thinner box. And Buggo guys are saying, let's do this, but with a slightly larger box. So I don't think that it necessarily fits into one or the other, what most of us want. But here's where I see the difference in why I advocate for Buggo, is because I think when it comes to adding or changing things in any division, it is much easier to give something, to grant something, than it is to take it away. So if tomorrow IDPA or somebody said, all right, optics are good to go in CCP, people would immediately start shooting it, and we would end up with this. It would be much more difficult to then say to the IDPA community or the crowd, like, okay, now we're going to scale the box down. Like, I think that now you're taking away something from that somebody already had or somebody already loves. If we do it in Bug, if we go, okay, now you got optics in Bug, let's see how that goes, and we like it. We have more people shooting little gun optics division. I think it's a much easier request to say, hey, we're tired of cutting the bottom off of our mags of our 365, or my Glock 43 doesn't fit, but it's real close, because the Glock 43 will fit in the box absent the base pad of the magazine. I would be interested to see. I think you could do it. I think I'm getting off on a Bug tangent again, which is pretty on point for me. But it'll fit. Like, if you took the base pad off the magazine, it'll fit. So it's almost there. So to come back later and say, hey, look, this went well, we want a slightly larger box, or we want more rounds in the magazines, which that has to happen too. Anyway, I'm not going to go off on a tangent on that. I think it's easier to grant something than it is to take it away, which is why I advocate from, let's start with, and even though the CCP isn't as populated, but it's certainly more populated than, especially at a local level, I think, than and at nationals and big matches, than Bug is. So I think it's easier to play around in Bug and add something and try it out, and then add something and try it out, than it is to say, all right, we did it in CCP, it didn't meet what we wanted, and now we're gonna rein it in. So that's why I think Bug optics is a little bit more the way to go. Takeaways so far from encouraging people to shoot Bug optics. I've had an absolute outpouring of people contacting me and saying, like, hey, this is a great idea. What can I do? What can we do to help you push this forward? And I've got some ideas. I won't talk about that much now because they're not really solidified yet, but like, I think one big takeaway is that the days of, if it's got a dot, then you shoot it in CO, I think that's pretty much coming to an end. Like, that idea isn't really acceptable anymore. So for ACs and SCs, like, help us out, man. Like, send the info up to IDPA HQ, and we will too. I know several people have contacted me and said, hey, I sent an email to HQ asking for this. I'm like, that's awesome. But yeah, I think that those days are over. And two, like, I don't want people to take away from this that I'm criticizing anybody's division or anybody's opinion. I love CCP. You guys know that. I would be thrilled if they did CCP optics. It's not in my opinion, the ideal way to go, but like, I'm one opinion. I heard somebody say once that opinions are just small islands of knowledge in a sea of ignorance, and some islands are bigger than others, but nobody's as big as the sea. And that's kind of how I feel about it. So like, I'm not saying I'm right with the way I feel about it. That's just the way that it seems to fit together to me. So if you agree with that, let me hear hear about it in the comments. If you want to. So one of the ideas is to put together like an email that would eventually could go to HQ with all the links of, because it's not just me talking about it out here on YouTube. There's Paul G and others who are talking about it too. An email with links so that we could send it to HQ and be like, here, we're discussing this. It's not like, there's 35 or 100 people just randomly emailing you saying, hey, we each have our own opinions on this, and this is what you should do, and I think this and I think that. It's that we, as the IDPA community, are having a discussion about this, and we would like you to engage in it also. So I think something like that, and eventually I'll probably write that out and I'll give it to you or to whomever wants it, and they can send it in. So that I think would be cool. Yeah. So Other than that, that's all I really had. If you want to come up to Washington and shoot bug optics with me, Washington State's in July, so you can come up then and shoot that. Other than that, our local matches the third weekend of every month. Major match schedule this year is Texas at the end of March, and then May is going to be super busy with the Western the first weekend, Washington State USPSA the third weekend, and then the second or third weekend, and then the last is Western, and then Area 1. So like super busy all the way through May and the beginning first week in June. I'll be at Nationals in September, Idaho State in September, and I don't know when it is, but I'm going to try and do Utah, I think, too. So if you want to come out, that'd be awesome. I've got other ideas in the works, but I'll talk more about those later. So yeah, that's it, guys. If you have the time and the means, check out www.dz-214.com, where you can donate to all the vetted veterans charities that we support. We really appreciate that, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay, quick story before I let you go. I forgot to mention this earlier, but Paul G is one of the very first CSOs that I ever, it was like the second sanction match that I ever shot. Second or third, I can't remember. Nick Brody and I went down to California and shot at a match in Prado, I'm not sure how you say it, but it was like a Valentine's Day match in February of like 2020, right before the world ended and everything shut down. And I told Paul the story when I was on his podcast and we were talking. So it's no surprise to Paul, but I met Paul and I was like still kind of new to sanction matches and still a little bit like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed, like it doesn't feel like a local, it feels more important, and I don't know, this is nerve-wracking. And I got to Paul's stage and Paul was like on it, man, very professional with like reading this, going through the stage description. And so I was like, oh man, this guy, he's on it, man. Like it was a little intimidating to me. I'm like, oh man, this is it. This is what the sport is. This is, really engaging with good officiating and somebody who's serious about it. And so I was like a little nervous. And then, other people shot and it came to be my turn. And it was like, okay, now I got to go, up to Paul because he's running me. And I expected like a militaristic, like, load and make ready. All right. Mm-hmm. But I go up there and he's like, hey, man, how's it going? You feeling okay? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, cool. So this is what we're going to do. Do you understand what you're doing? I'm like, yeah, I got it. And it totally put me at ease. And I had a great run after that because I was like, sometimes in these things you get a little up in your head about, big matches and what people are thinking about you and your run. And Paul totally put me at ease and kind of set how that match went for me. It ended up going really well. But that was my first experience with Paul. So he's just a great dude. He's a good person to be listening to when it comes to the ins and outs of how this sport is officiated and run and just everything about it. So check out his channel if you haven't before. It's super good.